Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Wednesday, 2 o'clock. Bo Wolf, Zach Berman. Zach is still on the scene in New England. He is in the shadows of the Rhode Island State House. He's very disappointed that the viewers can't see it behind him, but he is on the scene. I'm back in Philadelphia. We have lots to talk about. Some leftovers from the joint practice yesterday, a preview of what to expect tomorrow night when these two teams play each other in a real but fake game, and your questions. It's a midweek question and answer, a Wednesday whale bag. Zach wants that alliteration. He's very happy to have it back. How are you doing, Mr. Berman?
I'm doing well. It's not an exaggeration to suggest I spent 15, 20 minutes trying to get this background as I wanted to be. I couldn't quite get the lighting because the sun was coming from behind, but I'll give a sneak peek if I can. Let me do it. Let me see if I look at that here. You can't. Can you see it? I don't know.
Who cares?
But I had these. Well, because this is a visual medium, and I'm trying to get the good visual behind us.
Yeah, but you're not covering Rhode Island politics.
No, but for instance, when you're watching ESPN and they have the skyline in the background, right? It's for a reason. It's the nice backdrop. So Claire F appreciates the efforts. Claire, I appreciate you watching.
I think the only cool thing about the Rhode Island State House would be if it was purposefully tiny, like if it was the smallest state house in the country. That would be cool.
Yeah. No, I had a nice morning in Providence. I was doing a lot of transcribing at a coffee shop this morning. I got to see Brown's football facilities. It was nice. And now I'm excited to talk Eagles.
Did you hit up the student union?
I walked by it. I did not necessarily go inside the student union, but I found a coffee shop where I was listening through to all the interviews from yesterday and started writing a Cooper DeJean story that will go online later this afternoon.
What's the hook?
Well, just catching up the audience on Cooper DeJean, and then so the fact that he's back, but also what position is he going to play? And it's a way to kind of incorporate some of this slot corner conversation about two different positions, and it's an entry point to discussing like how the cornerback situation has evolved since his injury, because when he got hurt, I wasn't viewing Quinyon Mitchell as an option in this slot. Now, obviously, as we've discussed, he is an option in the slot, so it's going to kind of incorporate some of that, but really it's because DeJean talked, and I thought, there is a free day here to do some writing, and so I wanted to get ahead of it.
Well, Cooper DeJean is part of a conversation that I wanted to have with you, as I was thinking about this before, trying to get some shut-eye on the flight home last night. I think that because we have this daily show, we can get a little bit caught up in the race for the roster spots and like who's going to be starting. And we're so focused on who's going to be starting week one that I think it is important to remember that like a lot of these guys who are not going to start week one are still going to be playing for the team at some point this season. So how do they look as opposed to, how is the horse race going? And like, I think Tyler Steen is one of these players. We've been, we have talked about Tyler Steen is almost definitely not going to be the starting right guard week one, but I would imagine that at some point this season, Tyler Steen is going to start in a game. And I actually think that Tyler Steen has looked pretty good when he's been on the field. I think he's looked better than McKee Becton. But I think that that's a positive sign. Like Cooper DeJean is certainly behind in the race to be a starter week one because who knows where he's going to play. He has a lot of catching up to do. But of course, if he's healthy, Cooper DeJean is going to be a part of this defense at some point this season. You know what I mean?
Well said. And you are right. We do spend so much time on the daily happenings of practice and who wins this job, but if you look in past years, I mean, just look last season. Josh Jobe factored into the season quite a bit. Eli Ricks factored into the season quite a bit. Injuries are inevitable in the NFL. Performance changes are reality in the NFL, and typically highly drafted rookies get the benefit of the doubt in terms of, when things being equal, you want to get these guys on the field. I think Cooper DeJean's skill set was such coming in that because he's versatile, you can find a role for him early. I actually recall one of the conversations we said where maybe DeJean gets on the field earlier. This was before we looked at Quinyon Mitchell as a slot, where maybe Quinyon's kind of developing behind other guys, and then DeJean, because he plays slot, gets on the field earlier. Regardless, it was notable. It was notable that DeJean said he learned 3 positions this summer. This spring. He's focusing on corner and slot, but I think that versatility does make him an option to get on the field whenever he's ready. And I think there's a good chance, like he said, it's realistic that he plays in the 3rd preseason game. I think there's a good chance we see him then.
I would think so too. I mean, you want to see him do something, and I'm very curious to see where he's going to line up whenever it is that he returns to practice next week. What are your expectations, playing time wise, tomorrow night?
I think it would be comparable to last week, but maybe even less so. I don't anticipate starters playing. Maybe some of the, I don't want to say fringe starters on defense, but some of the guys up for or in like roster competitions, like maybe your Keely Ringo, Isaiah Rodgers plays, right? Or
even the linebackers. I think Devin White and
exactly.
Zach Bond might play. Yeah,
but I don't think like Bryce Huff is going to be out there like he was last week. Maybe Nolan Smith's out there. I don't think Jalen Carter is going to be out there like he was last week. I don't think Jordan Davis is going to be out there like he was last week. Now, the one thing I should add though about defensive linemen in particular is they don't have as many numbers there, right? So if you take away 3 of these guys, you are kind of limited. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see a lot of them this week.
And you don't expect anybody on offense? Do you think we'll see a Becton again?
I don't. It's a good question. I don't, but I think the guys on offense you'll see like those competing for the 3rd receiver job, obviously Britton Covey and Johnny Wilson, and then a tight end. I do wonder. I don't think Goddard's going to play, but they don't have like they don't really have tight ends. They have 3 guys, although you can get by with 3 guys.
Don't they have 4 now with the Washington guy?
That's right. Yes, that is right. The well-dressed Armani. Yes. Right. So no, that's a good point. And then running back, like I think you'll see Shipley. I think you'll see Gainwell. Those guys aren't starters, but I'm not expecting you to see much of these players at all of the starters.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to get off your chest before we begin the mailbag portion of the episode?
Anything from practice yesterday that you think we left out that you wanted to get in?
I mean, there were lots of specifics that were covered, I think, in the practice report on allphly.com if you are a diehard. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just that the defensive line for the Eagles dominated that portion of the proceedings. Now, the Patriots' offensive line, by all accounts, is supposed to be pretty bad. So you take that with a pretty big grain of salt. But it was nice to see all of those guys like really wreaking havoc.
Sure. Listening through today, I thought Lane Johnson gave you an interesting comment about the use of motion and why it's beneficial for the offensive line. And he said anything that like keeps the defenders, it makes them stop for a beat, is beneficial to the line. He said he saw it for years with Dallas when Kellen Moore was there. So it's interesting hearing the O-lineman's perspective because we typically don't think of motion from an O-line perspective.
Well, the reason I asked that is because he said something about it on the podcast with Chris Long about how it actually affects his job, like the timing, the timing of the stances, and he didn't talk about that part when I asked him about it. So it's not just a positive; it's something that they have to adjust to up front.
Yeah, he was talking about the tight end in particular, and like where the tight end's lining up and how that affects your stance.
Yeah, it was a good Chris Long episode.
They all are, I would say.
Yeah, I agree, but some can be better than others.
That is true, just like our show.
Just like our show. Today is the most important day of the summer for the Eagles, Zach.
Well, today's the most important day of the PHLY Eagles show because it is today. It's this show.
I actually think the most important day of the PHLY Eagles summer, Zach, is next Thursday, the Ospreys.
Yeah, you're a big Ospreys guy. I know that. So that will be a big day, and I look forward to seeing what you have up your sleeves. Your creativity is unmatched, and this is a chance for your creativity to blossom.
2:00 next Thursday. Be there or be square. All
I
right.
have to leave after an hour. I just want to make that clear. But I imagine Bo will continue on. And we're coming from practice. So
maybe there will be other guests involved.
yeah. So I won't be in the regal attire that we've used for past Ospreys. I hope I'm not
So you will
offending
not be committed. Got it.
No, I'm coming from practice.
So
will we discuss practice at all on the show, or is it totally dedicated to the Ospreys?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely,
especially not if you're going to get out of there in an hour.
Okay. I thought maybe we would talk about the team, but okay.
We have so many episodes, Zach. We can talk about that the next day. Actually, there's no show the next day.
There's no show the next day. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Let's get to the action here. Now, first question, and a good question coming in just under the gun, I believe from Claire. JJ McCarthy out for the season in Minnesota. Bad news for JJ McCarthy. Any chance that they might be interested in a Kenny Pickett as a competitor to Sam Darnold? This is news to you.
Oh, yeah, he's missing the entire.
You know what? You think a guy is up on the NFL news, and all of a sudden he drops his phone, drops his attention for 10 minutes, and he's lost.
I knew he had the meniscus injury. I didn't realize it was the season ender. Wow. So the second part of that question was, will they be interested in Kenny Pickett? No, I don't anticipate that being the case. They signed Sam Darnold. He's the starter. I don't think they would trade draft inventory at this point for a backup quarterback when JJ McCarthy is the future there.
Yeah, I agree. This is not the situation where I think Kenny Pickett would be attractive to a different team. I think it's more likely a contending team who loses their backup quarterback, something like that. I don't think. I mean, they have already basically chosen Sam Darnold over Kenny Pickett. There's no reason for them to bring Kenny Pickett in now.
Well said.
All right. Now,
I also want to just I put a quote on Twitter earlier. It was a question you asked, and it was a good question, a good answer from Jalen about Tanner McKee, and he discussed how he said they give Tanner a hard time for the Stanford thing, but his football IQ and the questions that he asks are beneficial to Jalen in the quarterback room, and people had some fun with that in the replies, like comparing that to Kenny Pickett. I just want to say I didn't include.
He was asked about Tanner McKee.
Yeah, for full disclosure, the first part of Jalen's answer was like about how all the quarterbacks in the room, but then he said because you asked about Tanner, and then he answered about Tanner. So I did not include that in the quote that I put up there, but I just
I asked specifically about his growth over a calendar year. You know, Kenny Pickett's only been with Jalen Hurts for a couple months.
But that was, you know, I thought the first part of the quote wasn't as interesting as the Pickett part. Oh, I'm sorry, as the McKee part. But just thought I would give the context there.
What kind of engagement are you getting on those bad boys when you're resurfacing those quotes and doing that transcription?
Are you asking out of curiosity or out of condescension?
No, out of curiosity. Yeah, is the bang worth the buck? I
actually don't know, but
it's a long game you're playing. You want to be the guy who people come to for everything you need to know.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, you know, we're not a volume play we're a subscription website for the most part, right? Where you're coming to us for analysis and stories you're not going to find anywhere else typically. So some of the press conference quotes, if you will, unless it's offered with the context of analysis, are not necessarily on the site. We discuss them on the show, but I think social media is a good forum for some of those quotes. I don't put all the quotes up, but some stuff that I thought were kind of interesting, or if, you know, like Professor Selman listens to every press conference, right? He does a great job with that. I recognize a lot of people out there don't. So if you're not doing a daily story on the press conferences, then the audience doesn't know what's said sometimes. So I try to give bits and pieces on social. I think it's a good forum for that if I'm not writing the daily story. So the engagement,
service
honestly,
you're providing,
some get picked up more than others, but I really don't do that as much for like to try to get retweets and likes as much as it is like, all right, you know, here's some insight on the team.
All right, a question we will start with Pavan, Zach, and he wonders, because this is a particularly of interest. We talked about it yesterday. I believe the wheel route touchdown to Saquon Barkley was in 21 personnel. Pavan wonders, without a good wide receiver 3, do you think we will see more 2 RB looks this year? He said there was a Pats beat writer that described both Gainwell and Barkley in on the same play. For context, the Eagles were in 21 only 2.3% of the time last year, compared to 7.2% league-wide. Now, I have some numbers here for you, Zach, and I will tell you why I think this is particularly interesting from the how much is Kellen Moore doing versus how much is Nick Sirianni doing in the design. So as Pavan mentions, now this is a slightly different number that I have from True Media. I had the Eagles, they were 18th in the league last season in 21 personnel usage at 2.2%. The year before, when the offense was one of the best in the league, they were 28th. They only were in 21 personnel 0.4% of the time. And then in 2021, it was 1.5%. Kellen Moore, last year with the Chargers, when he was running the show for the first time all on his own on offense, the Chargers did not run a single play all season long, Zach, in 21 personnel. And then his 2 years in Dallas, when you would think this is a chance to get two good players on the field at the same time, when you had Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, and boy, can Tony Pollard be a factor out of the backfield, they were still below average. It was 21st in the league at 2.6% in 2022 and 2.3%, 22nd in the league in 2021. So this is not a Kellen Moore expertise, 21 personnel. But we have seen it enough this summer that I expect it to be involved to some degree, but I don't think it's going to be a major part of the offense. How about you?
Yeah, good question. We discussed this on yesterday's show when I made the point of saying they're running this a lot in practice. Like they better be using this in games, and you said not necessarily. I don't like 21 personnel just for the if you just have two guys in the backfield. I don't necessarily like the geometry of the offense there. Now, what I like is if you view one of them, let's take Will Shipley, for instance. If you think Will Shipley can be a quasi receiver, right? So you start him in the backfield and then you flex him out, which is something that they've been doing. And it's a way to you can get certain tells on the defense. And in that case, he's a running back by position, but he's really a slot receiver on the play, let's say, right? Or let's say you do that with Kenny Gainwell or Saquon Barkley. I'm okay with that. If your second running back becomes your third receiver on a given formation, I'm not as keen on having two receivers, a tight end, than two guys in the backfield. I don't like what that does as much for spacing.
I actually feel the opposite.
Interesting. Okay.
I think the idea that you're going to catch the defense off guard, like, oh my God, all of a sudden Will Shipley is a wide receiver now. How are they possibly going to cover him? Are they going to use a linebacker or a safety? You know what they're going to do? They're going to treat him like a wide receiver, and he's not an above average wide receiver. This doesn't catch defenses by surprise. And I think we have seen this in practice, especially with the Eagles when they have tried to use it. It is not some fancy little thing that's going to drive defensive coordinators crazy. Now, I did look at the yards per play just across the league in the different formations last year, and 21 is slightly above average. The problem with that is that it's the Niners offense carrying that to a huge degree because Kyle Juszczyk is on the field and that's their best offensive formation, right? So it's not exactly what we're looking for. We're not talking about a fullback who can do different stuff. We're talking about these two running backs, and one of them is being flexed out.
Do you have the Dolphins numbers in front of you? I don't mean to put you
Dolphins were the second most often in the league. Okay. And that's the other one that's doing. It's those two teams, I think, ran more than, those two teams combined ran more 21 personnel than every other team in the league.
Yeah, and the Dolphins would be the best example for the Eagles because they do it with Mostert and A-Chain, right? Mm-hmm. Now, that said, as much as I like Will Shipley, he's not Devon A-Chain, right? He's not Raheem Mostert. So it's a valid point. I hear what you if you have a linebacker, if a team sees that you have two running backs on the field and they're playing base, they have three linebackers, right? And so then the linebacker follows Will Shipley out, and you say, all right, that's a potential mismatch. But I do think teams will typically just view that as they'll stay in nickel in that formation, right? It's not as if one of them's a fullback, and
Right.
so in that case, you're not using Will Shipley or Kenny Gainwell as a blocker for Saquon Barkley. It's not like the old pro formation or the I formation. So I see your point, but there are certain tells, and I'll defer to Coach Flynn on this, but you can see certain man principles or zone principles based on who's following the running back out to the slot. Although you can do the same thing by putting Britton Covey in motion or Johnny Wilson in motion or Devontae Smith in motion.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look of a little time to check in with our sponsors, Zach, and the company that is named after you. That, of course, Z-Biotics. And I have to tell you about this game-changing product, Z-Biotics. Longtime listeners will know we go back quite a ways with our friends at Z-Biotics. And here's what they do for you. They're going to make your mornings after you drink much smoother, because some of us we're getting up there and we don't bounce back quite the same way that we used to. So you got to make a choice. You can either have a great night or a great next day until you find Z-Biotics. Then you can have both. Porque no los dos. If there's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking, it's with Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. And here's how it works. When you drink, you have the alcohol that gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's that byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough mornings. Well, the pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and then you will feel your best tomorrow. Vacations, weddings, birthdays, and reunions. Football season, week 1. There's so much going on. Get the most out of your summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. You can go to zbiotics.com/PHLY Eagles to get 15% off your first order when you use code PHLY Eagles at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you are unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/PHLY Eagles and use code PHLY Eagles at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times.
If Joy is looking for a fun girls' night out this weekend, or Bo is looking for a fun guys' night out this weekend, let me tell you.
Why can't I hang out with the girls too?
Well, this is saying girls' night out in the ad. Okay. But yeah, if Bo's looking for a fun girls' night out this weekend,
we're mixed. Why can't we all hang together? We don't have to segregate the hangout.
I'm reading the ad copy. Okay. Parks Casino is the perfect place for after work get-togethers. Sip on tantalizing drinks. I know this is right up Bo's alley when you see those tantalizing drinks. Soak up these warmer weather, good vibes right now at Parks Casino. Parks Casino, this is how you win. The casino of choice is Parks Casino. They now offer an epic $5 happy hour with great food and drink every Wednesday through Sunday at the Liberty Bell Gastropub. So you can enjoy $5 drafts of Forge Stout and Victory Seasonal or Parks Pills. You can enjoy, and Bo loves this, a $5 glass of Albertani Cabernet. Ooh. Or you can enjoy the drink of summer, a $5 Twisted Tea Frozen Whiskey Arnold Palmer. Plus, this is right up my alley here, a feast on flavored pack, $5 small plates of braised short ribs, hot honey chicken sliders, or rotisserie chicken flatbreads. Whenever I see that hot honey, I'm all about that. The all-new Parks Casino Epic $5 happy hours happening right now. Parks Casino also has 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, a beautiful poker room, plus a collection of incredible award-winning restaurants. And the great thing, too, is they have this 360 lounge where headliners there every weekend at the 1,500-seat Excite Center at Parks Casino. Great news for Bo Wolf. Tiffany Haddish is there on September 27th. Tickets for all shows at parkscasino.com. Visit parkscasino.com. Must be 21 or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino. This is how you win.
Nice.
Is there a disclaimer or something? Or,
No.
oh, okay. You
Just giving,
paused there. I
yeah,
didn't
just
know
giving a little room to breathe.
okay.
Okay. Next up, question from Dulce. If Lane goes down, any chance they slide Becton out to tackle and have Steen play guard?
My guess is no. And the reason I say this, I could be wrong because we haven't seen this enough yesterday. And with Bo Wolf's prompting, Bo did a great job bringing this up. So I asked Nick Sirianni yesterday about whether they need to get Tyler Steen some reps at right tackle because Becton's getting work at guard. And Sirianni kind of said everyone needs to be versatile. I actually got a funny text from another reporter afterwards who said this was a clever way of asking if Becton's won the job already. And I was like, that actually wasn't the intention of it, but I kind of suppose.
But it's part of it. I mean, he has.
Yeah. But that's a roundabout way of saying I could be wrong, but I think right now in Tyler Steen's career, he's a better tackle than guard. Again, I could be wrong, but he certainly has more experience at tackle than guard. He played tackle throughout college. Now, not necessarily right tackle that the whole time. He was a left tackle last year at Alabama. But guard, the tackle to guard transition was a transition, right? So I think that rather than moving, if Becton's comfortable at guard, and I presume that the reason he's starting is they like him at guard, I don't think they switch up two spots. I think they would just put Steen or maybe Fred Johnson at right tackle if something were to happen to Lane Johnson.
Yeah, that's why I just want to see them move things around a little bit with the backup with the number 2 offensive line. Like I'd like to see Fred Johnson get some snaps at right tackle. I know that he's done it in the past, but Lane is the guy who you need to be really concerned about. So I'd like to see some more movement there. At some point I want to see Trevor Keegan getting some reps at right guard. We haven't seen a ton of movement with the second team offensive line, which I think just by memory is a little bit behind schedule. So maybe we'll see a little bit more of that after the second preseason game, some more moving around. But I am curious about that. And I do think that, let's say something happened to Lane, I would imagine that they would probably move Steen to right tackle. But maybe not.
I don't ask this in a patronizing way. I say this because my admiration about your understanding of the backup offensive line is sincere here. Do you think they were better last year with Jack Driscoll as the backup right tackle, or this year with Tyler Steen or Fred Johnson at right tackle?
So Fred Johnson's here, and he was there
Yeah.
last year. So you just assume that cancels each other out.
Yeah,
And
but
Steen
Driscoll
was here.
Yeah,
But
Driscoll
I think
was
that
like
Driscoll was I think that Driscoll was a cromulent backup right tackle. I think they were probably a little bit better last year. Yeah.
So I did have one question for you. Cromulent, I think it was cromulent, came up in the spell check yesterday as like it wasn't showing up as a recognized word.
Oh, did I spell it wrong?
No, you spelled it correctly, but then it was kind of viewed. Did you use cromulent or did you use a version of? Maybe
I think I said cromulence.
Cromulence. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah, you use cromulence, and cromulence wasn't coming up as like a formal word, but then it said in like informally it could be used. But I wanted to give you credit there because I never want to change someone's copy. I only like adjust for spelling or for if there's like a misname. But I'm like, did he mean to use? Cromulence made sense from a grammar perspective there, but I didn't know if you wanted that changed. But yeah.
So what did you do?
I kept it as is because
why not?
I thought the spirit of it was correct, and I thought it made sense.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about your appearance on Shields' show yesterday. I thought you did a great job.
Thank you.
Good conversation. I do have one takeaway.
Yeah.
Boy, did you get absolutely hosed in the trade for Quentin Johnson. I mean,
yeah, I didn't like those terms.
You are just pissing away draft picks. A fourth
for Quentin Johnson?
Yeah,
a fourth
that's
for
insane.
first round pick last year. Okay. I mean, I didn't like I thought The fourth was, am I wrong there?
I mean, they're giving up on a guy after 1 year. I mean, is there a fourth wide receiver in the league who you would trade a 4th round pick for?
He's under contract for 3 more years. In 10 starts last year, 38 catches for him. He had a more productive year than Jalen Reagor had. When Jalen Reagor, no. Here, let me put this way. No, Jalen Reagor, the Eagles got what, a 6th? That could be a 5th for Reagor after 2 years. That were not nearly as productive as Quentin Johnson after 1 year. I kind of hesitated at the trade price, but I said that because of the relative upside that you're getting for someone who was the 21st overall pick in the draft a year ago, is, he turns 24 on September 6th. He's under contract for 3 more years. He was on an offense where the quarterback missed the last 6 games of the year last year. So yeah, do you disagree? I mean, what would you say, a 6th, a 5th?
Maybe a 6th.
I mean, I would have to look at the precedent of, first round picks traded 1 year later.
I would think they're willing to trade him after 1 year.
It's a different regime.
That's the signal. But if he is their number 4 receiver right now, so you're trading a 4th round pick for a number 4 for someone who is on a team as a number 4 receiver. That seems like awful value.
I mean, I think that it's not the GM who drafted him. Like I said, Kellen Moore, the Eagles offensive coordinator, presumably was part of the decision to draft him. So I didn't like the conditions of the trade, as I said on Shield's show, but I don't think a 4th is a crazy deal for Quentin Johnson. Chat, correct me if you think I'm incorrect. I mean, if Howie were to ask me, I would say try to do a 5th. But if it's a 4th, let me see wide receiver trades.
I think it's pretty bad. But as a gift to you, and because we have a question here from Conan, I believe, who are some of the potential wide receiver targets, I have prepared 10 trade options for you, Zach. Okay. Mm-hmm. Are you going to focus on searching, or would you like to listen to the options?
I will listen to the trades. Yes.
Okay. Let's focus on what we have in front of us.
I was trying to answer your question, but go on.
I didn't ask you a question. I just told you it was a bad deal.
You were just poking at me. Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Here are 10 semi-realistic trade possibilities for the Eagles, varying from guys who would come in and, not make much of a difference to guys who are a little bit higher level. Alphabetically, we begin with the Arizona Cardinals. Ya boy. The Eagles sending away a paltry 7th round pick to Jonathan Gannon in exchange for Zach Pascal.
No, I would not. I think Zach Pascal's replacement level.
Well, that's why it's a 7th round pick, but that's not interesting.
I'm saying, I think I'd rather hold on to my pick than trade a 7th rounder for Zach Pascal.
Okay. The Baltimore Ravens. The Eagles are sending Eli Ricks down 95, and they're getting back an old friend. Nelson Aguilar is an Eagle once again.
Well, I like Nelly, but I would not do that trade. I would rather have a 23-year-old corner than give him up for Nelson Aguilar.
Okay. Buffalo. The Eagles are sending Ben Van Sumeren, a man who was born to play in the snow in Western New York. He's going to the Bills in exchange for Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
I actually like that one. Yeah, I mean, to me, Van Sumeren is I don't want to say a fringe player, but he's not guaranteed to make the team. Valdez-Scantling, even though he was on the free agent market, he gives you speed. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that one.
He's a one-trick pony. It sounds like he's probably not going to make that team, but
okay. So then you probably wait for cut down day there. But look, they traded a pick last year for Albert O because they didn't want to. Now, MVS would not go on the waivers. So
right,
if you want to, so in Albert O's case, they theoretically, well, not theoretically, in practice, they did want to jump waivers. They thought he was going to be claimed, and they were the 31st waiver claim. So.
Yeah, the only thing I would say for MVS, I mean, I think he is not a great player, obviously, but they don't have a player on the roster right now who offers what he has, which is just speed in a straight line as a backup wide receiver, right? Like it's Anaya Smith doesn't offer that, it turns out.
Yeah.
Paris Campbell doesn't really offer that. I mean, it's basically an upgrade over John Ross, kind of, but yeah, it's not, that's not moving the needle. It's not changing the ceiling of the 2024 offense significantly. All right, Carolina now. This is a bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles are trading away Tyler Steen. They're cutting bait, and they're getting back the old man, Adam Thielen.
Yeah, from an age profile perspective, I don't love that. Look, Tyler Steen, I'm not ready to give up on a young offensive lineman who you drafted at the top of the third round a year ago when you have some older players on the offensive line. So no, I would lean toward no there unless Jeff Stoutland makes the determination that Tyler Steen can't play. And I don't think that's the determination they've made.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that one either.
Yeah.
All right, Denver. Cortland Sutton, Zach.
Now you're talking my language.
Is coming to Philadelphia in exchange for a third-round pick that turns into a 2 if he plays 70% of the snaps.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving up a third or a second for a high-paid veteran when I already have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Part of the appeal of the Quentin Johnson trade was that he's on a rookie contract. You're not getting that so much, or you're not getting that with Cortland Sutton. So no.
Okay. Houston Texans, one of the teams who we have talked about for a while as having a wide receiver surplus. This one is basically the Kevin Byard trade. The Eagles are sending a 5th for Robert Woods.
No, I would want to try to get my hands on McKee in that case more so than Woods.
Okay.
A 5th for McKee, I would do, but that's not what you proposed to me. Yes.
Okay. This one is as low level as it gets. Miami. The Eagles, no offense. The Eagles are sending Terrell Lewis to the Dolphins in exchange for Anthony Schwartz.
Yeah, I would do that. Terrell Lewis is not going to make the team. Anthony Schwartz can run like the wind. So, yeah, I would take that. Definitely.
Okay.
I like Anthony Schwartz coming out of Auburn.
Yeah, of course.
Did not work out, of course, with the Browns, but Anthony Schwartz, yeah, give me Anthony Schwartz. John Ross, I like John Ross. Great quote. Has a son, but I would rather the upside of Anthony Schwartz.
And a good point from Shea to keep in mind about Robert Woods, Zach. One of the best wide receivers of all time.
From Troy Aikman. Yeah, that was also like 6 years ago. But yes.
All right, let's get our New England trade in here.
Your boy.
Tyquan Thornton and a 6th are coming to the Eagles in exchange for Darian Kennard and a 5th.
So you showcase DK.
Yeah,
I would do that. Now, Lane Johnson gassed up Kennard yesterday. And look, Kennard was a former 5th-round pick by the Chiefs, who the Eagles signed quickly to a futures deal. From what I understand, gave him a good amount of money too on a futures deal. But no, I would take Tyquan Thornton, a former 2nd-round pick, greater position of need, and for a 1-pick swap. And by the way, the 5th is likely the end of the round. The 6th is likely the top of the round. I know there's some comp picks sandwiched in between, but I don't think the spread is that significant.
Okay. All right, here's the big one. Our penultimate offer. The Seattle Seahawks are sending Tyler Lockett to the Eagles in exchange for both 2025 third-round picks.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. How old's Tyler Lockett now?
I think 31 or 32.
Yeah, I don't like giving up 2 third-rounders for a 31 or 32-year-old.
Last year was his first year under 1,000 yards in quite some time. He is 31, but he turns 32 in September.
Yeah, Golden Tate wasn't even that age when the Eagles gave up a 3rd for him.
Well, yeah, but the Eagles love giving up 3rd-round picks for old wide receivers. You're not doing that?
No, I'm not. Are you?
No, not for both of them. Probably not. All right, last one.
I'm not doing it for one of them either.
I might do it for one.
Look at you. I should be turning this around to you.
Well, he's an actual NFL player. Quentin Johnston has barely proven that.
Johnson's 24 years old.
Okay. So is Anaya Smith.
It's true. Maybe they should have thought of that before they drafted Anaya Smith.
All right. Last one, the Tennessee Titans. And I want you to grade this trade on a scale of 2 to 8. The Tennessee Titans are sending Treylon Burks and Mason Kinsey to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for Nakobe Dean.
Why is Mason Kinsey in the deal?
So that we can get the right scale.
Yes, I would do that deal. I would take Treylon Burks.
You're an 8 on that one.
For Dean. Yeah, I don't know the Kinsey scale, so I don't want to say anything that's going to be a drop in here, but I would give Dean straight up for Burks right now. Although I did see as I was walking today on Twitter that Burks got hurt. Is that right? In practice?
I think he left practice today. I saw, yeah. Okay.
I don't know the Kinsey scale though. So what's good on the Kinsey scale?
I mean, 8 is as far as it goes.
Okay. So it's like the baseball scouting thing where it goes 20 to 80.
It's not quite the same.
Gotcha.
But
why can't baseball scouts do 0 to 100? I don't know. Yeah, I don't get the 80. You know, this guy's. I really like Kylie McDaniel at ESPN. And it's like the future value is 55. It's like, 55 future value. Just give me 100 scale.
Yeah. Also, yeah. Why is it only by 5s? Like
that's true too. Yeah. You got some connections in the baseball world. Find that out for me.
I'll see what I can do. All right. Let's talk about our other sponsors here. I got to find the tab. I'm all over the place today. Oh, here we go. Our friends now at we're sucking them back. It's Miller Lite, because a lot has changed over the years, and one thing that hasn't is the great taste of Miller Lite. Another thing that hasn't changed is that it's less filling. So what is the best thing about the original light beer? Miller Lite sparked this debate in 1975, and we still haven't settled it. There's no better Miller Lite, or no beer than Miller Lite. We were sucking them back on Monday night, and it led us to a championship. And what better thing can I say about a product than that? It helped us win it all. Miller Lite keeps it simple. Undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer, less filling, and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY-birds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
I am not going to the Red Sox game tonight, but if I wanted to make a last-minute decision, drive up to Boston, see the Sox game tonight, there's one place that I would turn, and that is Game Time. Because Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball. It's the app that I use when I take my son to baseball games, and it makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. So I would be outside Fenway. I would wait until 2 minutes before the first pitch, maybe 90 seconds before the first pitch, and I would get killer last-minute deal with all-in prices, a view from the seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes all the guesswork out of buying seats. If I were going tonight, I would definitely use the image of the seat view, because an old stadium like Fenway, you never know what the angle is going to be. I think it's Wrigley that has the bar in front of some of the seats. You got to be careful up with that if there's an obstructed view. So that's what I love. Is the seat view with a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. I also love the lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And they also have Game Time ticket coverage, which means your purchase is covered with the flexible customer service policy, the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Where do you stand on the wide receiver discussion? Do you think that this is becoming something that needs to be addressed?
I do think it needs to be addressed. I disagree with Nick Sirianni that like 1 through 13 they're loaded. I don't mind the Britton Covey, Johnny Wilson combo if you're just getting by with it for like if that's your third receiver. If you tell me AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are going to stay healthy, but this offense is in trouble if AJ Brown or Devontae Smith go down. And I know the obvious answer is any team that loses an all-pro player is in trouble. But there are teams that have more sufficient depth. If they had spent a third-round pick last year on Jalen Hyatt, as you had in your shadow draft, then you feel a little better about their depth at that spot. If they used, now I don't know how Troy Franklin's doing. If they used the third-round pick this year on Troy Franklin, who, actually I really do like what Jalex Hunt has showed, so I can't knock that pick. But
Austin Booker, my guy, is also supposedly having a big summer.
Yeah, so I would see that, but I don't like the position that they're in if AJ or Devontae go down, and I do think that having a young, cost-controlled third receiver would be beneficial to them. And I think the Johnny Wilson hype has more to do with, I think he's been good, but I don't think it's, and I think it's kind of compared to the rest more than anything else. What about you?
I do think it's a significant issue. I think for a team with as high aspirations as they have, who knows how important offense is, I will be shocked if they don't add something else. It's not enough.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of
Howard
these wide receivers trades, by the way. There have been, if you're looking for precedent, there have been some bad wide receiver trades of former high draft picks, which might make you a little concerned about acquiring a Quentin Johnson, but like Chase Claypool is an example. And there's a few, Laviska Shenault was an example of like these guys were second-round picks who've been traded and they didn't do it as much with their new teams. So it's a valid point that maybe the team that's trading them actually knows why they're trading them.
Yes. I mean, it's the thing we always talk about. There's got to be a reason that the team's letting go of them. And so in this case, you can maybe talk yourself into it's a new regime. And this is not the way that Harbaugh wants to play necessarily. But yeah, I think if they're willing to trade him, it's not even like they're cutting bait on a guy who's their number 2 receiver right now. He's their number 4.
Actually, I would say the most comparable trade from an Eagles perspective, and this wasn't a draft pick, this was a player-for-player trade, was Dorial Green-Beckham, who was a high second-round pick who had like some production, some upside the year before. The Eagles traded Dennis Kelly for him, and clearly the Titans won that trade, but that's probably the most comparable in terms of player profile.
Okay, reasonable. McJiggle, Zach, wants to know what current Eagle should he get a Kelly Green jersey of, factoring in things like the time you think they'll be with the team, the impact they'll have, how they'll be remembered, etc.
I would say AJ or Devontae would be the way to go there. I think that, obviously Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback. I think Saquon Barkley's popular one now, but I wouldn't take Saquon if you want a long-term thing. If you have a 7-year-old son who's going to grow out of the jersey in a year, get the Saquon one. Kids love running backs. But if I'm being honest with you, I would buy the Jason Kelce Kelly Green from last year because that never goes out of style. Like people will always wear the Kelce Kelly Green, and it's a cool Kelly Green.
Yeah, that's a reasonable answer. I think you could go Lou Nichols too, but
there you go. My 7-year-old son Reed was playing Madden. It came out yesterday or Monday for the release, and he calls me yesterday. He's really excited, and he says, "I got a pick 6 with Quinyon Mitchell. Can you tell him that?" And I was like, so I said, sure. And then I called before bedtime last night and he said, "Did you tell Quinyon that?" I was like, "No, I haven't seen Quinyon since we spoke 2 hours ago."
He doesn't know that.
I know. He said, "When are you going to tell Quinyon that?"
Tell him.
So I got to find the right.
I want to know if Reed had him on the outside or in the slot.
Oh, that's a good question. Probably. Oh, I don't know. Probably wherever he was in the game. But he got a pick 6 with Quinyon, and I asked him how the game was, or how the game is. He said He said, the graphics are better, but the controls are harder to learn. And I was like, well, it's the first day. You got to give it some time. But he's excited. He's real excited. But he got his pick 6 with Quinyon Mitchell, and he's pumped.
Read.
Yeah.
Like that. Bryce Panders wants to know if Bo could add one Eagle to his softball team, who would it be? The obvious answers: AJ Brown, Jake Elliott, right? But we're a championship winning team. We don't need those guys would have trouble getting on the field. So just give me Lou Nichols so we can hang out.
Sweet Lou. All right. I like that answer.
I do have to say, I wanted to say this yesterday. The championship game the other night, it was nice when we showed up. I haven't felt like a little bit nervous about a sporting, like a thing that I was doing myself athletically in a very long time. It was great to have some nerves. What a good feeling.
You rose to the occasion. 2 ding-dongs, right?
In the second game, in the championship game, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to have that feeling. You don't get that feeling a lot these days.
That's the great thing about that's what, if I'm being honest, like if I can contribute to this conversation, when you speak to retired players, the obvious answer is, oh, I miss the locker room. But really the answer you hear the most that is like comparable to that is you miss the competition, right? Like there's that feeling of competition, the excitement. It's hard to mimic that elsewhere in life. That's why even guys who go into media race back into coaching or front office, because you're so used to having a standings, a win and a loss, and it's hard to mimic that. So that's cool that you felt that. You deserve that. You're a good ball player. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, a question from Mike from the Sickos Discord. All right, Zach. They have put together a fantasy football league, and it is up to you and I to determine the order that they're going to pick. Now, we have the team name so far: the Delco Stair Sprinters, Colin of Duty Score Zone, Devontae's Inferno, What Can Brown Do For You, Team Name or Name Team, Bo's Shoddy Wi-Fi, Lord Poopington, Frisky Dingus 89, 5 Sprinting Barbies, and then we have 3 unnamed teams: Team 3, Team 4, Team 7. I believe that we should give those teams their names.
Okay. So we're picking the draft order based on the quality of the name.
We don't have to, but I think that's how we should do it. Now I'm going to go ahead, Zach. I'm going to make Bo's Shoddy Wi-Fi picking 12th because shoddy is misspelled. Okay. Otherwise, that would have been towards the top, but shoddy misspelled. Unfortunately, you got to go to the back of the line. I'm going to give team name or name team the number 1 pick.
Pick it after your heart. Okay.
Yep. I'm going to give 5 Sprinting Barbies number 2 and the Delco Stair Sprinters number 3.
Okay.
I'm open to your input on the rest of these.
I like Devontae's Inferno.
You want to make that number 4?
Yes, that's a clever one. Now it's not a PHLY Eagles or Birds with Friends reference, but it's still a clever name, the Devontae's Inferno.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going Lord Poopington number 5.
Okay, Lord Poopington's a contribution to the chat often.
Team 3, we're going to go ahead and call them RBs for HZ.
Running backs for what?
For HZ.
I don't like that, but okay.
Okay. Why don't we give Team 4? What's a Julia name we can give Team 4? How about Julia's High School?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to give out Julia's screen name from.
Oh yeah, go for it.
But I'm not. I don't know if she does.
By the way, Zach, speaking of Julia's High School,
yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Explain.
My high school team is being inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame, and it's really a credit to my teammates and my coaches. It has very little to do with me, but I am proud to be associated with my teammates to this day. Proud to be associated with my coaches to this day. I take a lot of pride in what our team accomplished. Very little to do with me, but it's cool that these guys are being honored. And if I can speak frankly, it's belated. the Philadelphia Daily News voted us the.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it took 20 years for this to happen. The Philadelphia Daily News picked Sean Grieve as the player of the decade. We were the team of the decade, according to Ted Solari. But it's awesome for the guys on that team. I think we had, I could be wrong here, 13 guys go on to play college baseball. A few went on to play in the minors. They deserve this recognition more than like anything else. And that they're the best team in school history. And I'm proud to be associated with them. So it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with those guys.
Yeah, but now you're going to be a Hall of Famer.
My team will be a Hall of Famer. Yeah, I don't think I am a Hall of Famer.
I think Julie and I agree that we need to cover this for the show.
Honestly, I would cover it to give. I would have you guys cover it to give recognition to those guys because they deserve it. Like, has literally, I'm not even being humble. Has nothing at all to do with me at all. I mean, although my junior year I did lead the team in batting average. Just want to make that clear, 667. But nice. That's because I batted 3 times that year. So
I think we put that together, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, credit to those guys. They deserve it.
Team 7 is going to be the Church of Ellis.
Okay.
They can go 7th, and I'll let you fill out the rest. I don't know. I don't know what's left. Frisky Dingus 89 goes 11th.
Okay.
What can Brown do for you goes 10th.
And then did we do Column of Duty score zone?
Oh, that's they're 9th.
Okay. There we go.
Is that everything?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like that.
Nice. All right. Were there any questions you had earmarked that you wanted to get to?
There were a lot of good questions. We can circle back to this.
We won't.
Why not? You see, by the way, this is such a fun show. I don't know why you're so resistant to it. Were you offended, by the way, that I said that the Tic-Tac bow was inspired by Shields' exercise?
No, I wasn't offended. Why would I be offended?
Shields said you would not like that.
I mean, it's your thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't create it.
Fair enough. Bo's, we don't need to ask Bo's top 3 public restrooms. I don't think it's necessary to the conversation. Bo's top 5 ZB mispronunciations. Although I gotta say, I received DMs. I have
the Lancaster one. People said you weren't far off.
Yeah. With the Nantucket one, I was far off on, I think, but Lancaster, not so much. What are the chances Devontae has a better year than AJ this year?
I think if they're both healthy, I would be surprised if for Devontae to outproduce AJ. What about you?
Yeah, I would be surprised too, but I think they're both going to have really good years. Bo's music of choice. This is from Andrew DeCecco. Does an outstanding job covering the Eagles he does Inside the Birds. He does 97.5 The Fanatic. Credit to Andrew. He's
85 years old, it turns out.
And I don't understand the joke. What's the joke?
No, he was talking about he tweeted that his highlight of going to Boston was going to the place where Boston recorded their debut album.
Is that a band, Boston?
It is.
Okay. Is there a song that I would know?
More Than a Feeling.
How's that go?
More than a feeling.
So I do want people to know when I do this, this is not me playing an act. Julia can attest. I don't know music at all. And this is not even cultural illiteracy. It's just like there's cultural things that I know. I don't know music as well. I know the stuff that Chip Kelly played in practice from Shazam.
The answer to Andrew's question is Mountjoy.
I love that. Okay. I'm all in on Mountjoy too. An Idiot Sandwich says Bob Dylan guy though. Yeah. Love Bob Dylan. Took a class freshman year on Bob Dylan's lyrics. I have some good papers that I wrote. Got an A in that class. Flex.
Debatable.
What's it? That it's a flex or that I got an A?
No, that the papers were good.
Ouch. I mean, I think relative to other freshman papers, I think that was good. I think I wrote a dissection of Positively 4th Street. Yeah. So these are some. I think we did a good job with this.
All right. You will be surprised to know that we have an actual football question from Kill a Cow.
Okay. I am surprised to know Kill a Cow.
Who are this year's initial 53 casualties, but back on the roster week 1 or 2 candidates?
Oh, good question. I mean, CJ Uzama is the obvious one. I think vested veteran. right? You made the point the other day that maybe they can get by in that Packers game with the practice squad elevation. Maybe they can do that throughout the year. I think if I'm looking at this here, I mean, John Ross would be a possibility for that.
Mm.
I
Oren
don't think
Burks.
Oren Burks. I mean, they're gonna have an IR decision coming up with Oren Burks.
Yeah.
But yeah, hasn't practiced yet. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's not a ton of guys of vested veterans battling for roster spots. We might have thought Matt Hennessy could have
Sure.
been a guy there, but it seems like he might not make the team. Otherwise, yeah, I mean I guess that's about it. Killer Cow also wants to know and make sure that you hit the like button and all that good stuff. Subscribe, evangelize, thumbs up the
How about
video.
here? Can I ask one more? And this is a good one.
Well, hold on. Killer Cow also wants to know. He had a dream on Monday. He says that I left PHLY to become an OBGYN. He wants to know what would be your preferred second career if sports journalism and everything related to that wasn't an option.
When I was younger, I would have said politics.
What in politics?
So I love the West Wing, and I was always fascinated by the speechwriters, right? So writing speeches. I mean, Eli Saslow. When I was, he's one of the best writers alive, and he did a great profile back. Must have been, I think I was at the Star Ledger at the time, so 2010, on John Favreau, who was Barack Obama's speechwriter, and it was just like the way with words like that. I mean, I would love to be in sports. I love sports. I think front office, my, I can't be in sports. No, you said sports journalism.
Well, I think that is related, but also you'd
Okay.
be kicked out of the front office once you agreed to the Quentin Johnston trade.
I don't know about that, Bo. I mean, there's people in front offices who traded Chase Claypool for a second round pick, right? Or who traded a second round pick for Chase Claypool. Yeah. So I actually don't know. I don't think that's as crazy as you say. I can say I have so much respect for teachers. I enjoy being a professor. There's things in business that I like, but probably politics. I was a political
It's so funny
science
because
major.
you're so you don't want to have anything to do with politics otherwise.
Yeah, because I don't like to talk about my personal politics, but if it's my profession, yeah, I mean, I don't think, I think for this show, I'm trying to attract everybody. I don't want to turn off anybody. I think politics, especially in today's day and age, is polarizing. I don't want to, I want to be a welcoming show. And so I don't want to rub anyone the wrong way, one way or
If you
the
try
other.
to open a window to everyone, you end up catching pneumonia.
Is that an expression?
I believe that's Vonnegut.
Okay. Yes, but no, I think that I'd make the joke that I think I've said this to you over text, that the least appealing thing about politics is that you have to reveal stuff about your personal life. But then again, Jed Bartlett had MS and he didn't reveal that, so he got away with that.
Of course, the famous
Fictional character.
documentary about American politics.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, what about you? The question was for you, because I don't think you'd be an OBGYN.
Why not?
Would you want to be an OBGYN?
Yeah, why
I
not?
feel like
It's like a very helpful job to have.
I remember, I'm not gonna say who this was, but this was a person I used to work with, who said that when he's at like I always say dinner party, but like who goes to like dinner parties? If he's at like a party, or if he's talking to like a cab driver and they ask him what he does, he says a proctologist, because he says no one has a follow-up question for a proctologist. But if you say you're a football writer, everyone has a follow-up question. So yeah, the proctologist gets you out of a conversation quickly. No one's like, oh, proctology, I should have gone into that,
Yeah, but you also, what if they do have a question about it, a very specific question about themselves? Then you've gotten yourselves into a real pickle.
Yeah, it's like George Costanza being a marine biologist, right?
Mm.
I did want to end this
He
with
was
one
very good.
question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a good one to end on for the game tomorrow night. Okay, position battle you're most interested in seeing Thursday night. This was from Bryce Harper School of Pandering.
Now, see, I didn't give this one because we had already answered one of his questions, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, I just think we should end with the game.
I think it's linebacker because we can tell more from a game about linebackers than we can from practice. I think that it is very much still up in the air about what the early season rotation there is going to look like. And I don't expect that both right guards are going to play. So that's my answer. How about you?
Yeah, I think linebackers a good answer there. I'm curious. I don't know if I would call this a position battle, but I am curious to see these depth safeties. I want to see how Bradbury and Matt. I presume they'll both play Bradbury and Maddox, and I do want to see how, if this is a position the Eagles need to address, or if this is a spot that they can get by with Maddox and Bradbury, and also if it's realistic that they move over Cooper DeJean if they don't think that the depth is sufficient.
Yeah, good answer. And then as Dean says, Zach, as a political speechwriter, we choose to pee standing up, not because it is easy, but because it is hard.
Well, first off, I have great admiration for political speechwriters. I would not incorporate peeing standing up in a speech, but I would actually disagree with the premise of that, Dean. I actually think peeing standing up is easier. But we don't need to get into that. These people are really having fun with this stuff. There's actually real honest to God issues. I actually think that
you will not discuss.
Yeah, but if I was running for politics, I actually think that's like if I was being interviewed for this and I was being a politician, I'd be like, why are we so interested in the fluff? Like there's real stuff. It's the old expression that you campaign in poetry and you govern in prose, right? I believe Mario Cuomo said that that I would be far more interested in the prose than the poetry.
Okay. But whatever. We don't have to get into it. We're over time. We can close the show. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Julia's not feeling well. Let's let Julia feel better.
That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. No 2:00 show tomorrow because we will have once again a kickoff show a half an hour before kickoff with Jamie Lynch and myself, and then a post-game show following. And Zach will hopefully join us from Gillette Stadium both before and after. We look forward to. Well, I mean, it's possible you don't.
I hope not. That means a bad thing happens.
Or the Gillette Wi-Fi is out.
Sure,
you know.
Sure. If I can just give a quick plug here. We didn't read it today in the ads, but being a diehard member comes with a lot of advantages, including the writing that Bo and I are doing. I think Bo's practice observations. Look, we had 2,500 words from practice yesterday. It's hard to find that elsewhere. And practice,
only 1,800 of those words were Lou Nichols.
We've had words or we've had stories off of every practice. I'm working on some features. I have stuff looking ahead. I have stuff from the game. You know, our company invests a lot of money in sending us up here. And if you're a diehard member, you're going to get all that content and you get great stuff on all the Philly teams. So make sure you're a diehard member.
All right. That'll do it for this episode. Thanks to everybody for watching and listening. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.